Hey guys, and welcome back to the Jabronis Coach Fishing Channel. I am getting ready to re-spool a couple of my reels, and then the rest of my rods and reels I'm going to take apart and clean them. I do not go into a lot of detail. I do kind of like, if you know what field stripping a firearm is, that's basically what I do. Way back in my early years as an angler, my very first year, I took one of my bait casters apart and stripped it down to the gears. I mean, I wanted to clean this thing, and if you've ever done that, let's just say that thing has been used for parts, because there are so many little tiny snap rings and gears that yeah, it was a nightmare. So I do clean them, I oil them, I grease them, re-spool any of the older stuff. I will get into that a little bit more. I just wanted to show you some of the materials that I use. As you can see, Power Pro braid is my favorite. I just honestly, for the cleaning purpose of the outside of the reels and the rods themselves, I just use an all-purpose cleaner. And then I bought this kit. Honestly, I can't remember where I got it, but it's basically just a reel grease and an oil. And the really cool thing with this, should have had it open, is that it's like a syringe. So you take the top off, you can put it in, each one of these has like a little hole where you can grease the gears. You literally can just get in there and apply the grease right to it. So it's a really neat kit. It's just called a Real, R-E-E-L Care Combo. Real Care Combo. And then finally, every one of them I put this Real Magic, man. I am a firm believer in this Real Magic. You pick this up at Walmart. I want to say it's $8 a can. I want to say the last time I bought one, it was about $8 a can, maybe a little bit more now, but you can't pick it up at Walmart. It's called Real Magic. I spray this several times a year. A testament to how it works. You go out, you've got fluorocarbon or mono on your reel, first time of the year. You cast it out, you get that memory, that coil. Literally, while it's cast out, spray this on the remaining line, reel your line in, spray it again. When you cast it back out, that's gone. I mean, it works that fast. But it's a real good line conditioner, no matter what line you use. Braid, fluorocarbon, mono, anything you use, this is an excellent. And you can also spray it on the little worm gear for your bait casters. It's just a really good lube. It works good. There's no scent to it. It doesn't do anything, to turn the fish off or anything like that. But it's called Real Magic. So those are the things that I use. And I will get into it and show you just a little bit of the detail that I do. Well, guys, before I start breaking down the cleaning parts, I just wanted to show you. I basically 90% of my rods are all set up the same. What I mean is I use a braid and a fluorocarbon leader. I love using a braid and a fluorocarbon leader. That is my absolute favorite setup. The 7-footers, I have 65-pound braid. If I ever find myself fishing in or around grass, a good example are the lily pads over at Lake Brent. If you'll back up, look at a few months, I think it was in May, I had an awesome day out there catching some bass and some mammoth crappie out of those lily pads. That 65-pound braid done a great job of just snatching these things out of it. And then I have a couple that I like. This is a 7.6. I use it for my deep cranking. That's I think it's 12-pound fluorocarbon. The whole thing. Nothing but fluorocarbon. There are some drawbacks. Fluorocarbon sinks, braid floats. So I know with this setup right here, I've got, this is a 6.6. Okay, so I only have two different lengths of rods. I have a 7-foot rods, and I have 3 6.6 rods. These are the ones that I beat the banks with. I throw up, if I'm gonna make a really long cast, I'll get one of the 7-foot rods. But for the 6.6, they're more accurate. But I'm not gonna make as long a cast. I use the 50-pound braid on the 6.6 rods. The braid it casts further, it lasts longer. You're not going to get any kinks in your line like you do with fluorocarbon. You do have to learn to tie that leader knot, that leader to the braid with a knot. Super simple. I use two different ones. I can post something later to show how I tie them. Basically, it's a double uni. You can look that up. I believe the other one's called an Albright knot. But those are the two that I use. One takes just a 2 minute, a minute longer. So if I'm doing it in a hurry, I'll tie the two unis. But I generally try to use the Albright knot more than any. The drawbacks are simple. Braid floats. If you make a cast and you're bringing back a crankbait or a lipless, anything with that sinks, it's trying to pull the braid down. So I can throw a DT6 in 4 feet of water and I never hit bottom. And I know that. I know that going into that. So if you decide to go, this route and you put the braid on there, and you put a leader on there, again, mono floats. So you want to, if you're going to do the braid and you want to throw something that's going to sink, throwing a top water, then you definitely want to go to fluorocarbon leader. But just know that you're going to lose a little bit of your depth on your lure just because it's trying to pull that braid down. Whether it's a 50-pound braid, 65, 20, it doesn't matter what it is. It's trying to pull that braid under the water, so you're going to lose a little bit of your depth. Now you can combat that by going with a longer leader. But again, there's no, you'll never have that coil, that memory. If you do backlash with braid, it's easier to get it out. You can cast further, and braid lasts forever. Some of these reels, what I'm going to do, I've got a brand new one I'm going to spool up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of these that I just re-spooled last year, and I'm going to reverse the braid. I can show you what I mean by that. So I can use that braid again for another season. But I'll just reverse the braid because if there's 150, 200 yards on your spool, you're not using that last 50, 75 yards of it even on a long cast, because I'm not, me personally, I can't cast a whole reel full of line out. So that's good undisturbed braid. So if you reverse it, you put the older on the bottom and then new comes to the top and you're good. So I'll show you how to do that later. Another thing with braid is you can look at this, all this green. This is a white rod. It was really sexy when I started. All this green. One of the drawbacks of braid is whatever color that braid is, it's going to transfer to your reel. It's going to make your rod. It's going to make your reel way dirtier, and it's going to make your rod dirty. You can see in here how dirty and green that is. That's one of the fallbacks for braid. Where if you look at my one, it's just got the fluorocarbon on there. That's a super clean looking reel. Rod. Reel seat. All that looks really nice. And again, I'll show you the bottom of this one. It's pretty dirty and it's just green, but that's just one of the fallbacks of braid. So know that going in, and you won't be surprised when it happens. So the ones that I'll clean them all the same, whether they have the fluorocarbon or the braid. But the ones with the braid, of course, are going to take me longer because they are way nastier. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start taking a couple of these apart and doing some cleaning, and I'll show you guys some clips, and I will be back. Thanks. Alright guys, so you see I've got the reel taken off of the rod. Couple things I do, so I basically just take a good clean rag, and when I'm cleaning my rod, these are my cutters. When I'm cleaning my rod, I basically just spray it. Wipe it down really good, clean the grip good. Clean this rod's so long, man. I'm banging things. clean around the reel seat real well. And basically that's what I'll do for the entire rod. One of the things I did want to show y'all, kind of a little hack. So I think each one, you know, all the eyes on every rod you get there got some kind of, you know, fancy. I think these are Fuji inserts is what they're called. But, you know, again, when you're throwing fluorocarbon, you may not notice it that much, but when you're throwing the braid with the fluorocarbon leader, another thing that's really hard on your line, on your knot, is if there's anything, any frays, any nicks, anything that happens inside these guides. So a really good hack, you just basically take a plain Q-tip and you just rub it real gently. You're not looking to clean it or anything. You're just rubbing it through there. Go to the next one, just kind of spin it both sides. And I'll do every guide like this all the way up. If you've got any nicks, any bangs, anything inside, you know, one of these inserts are starting to fail, it'll catch that cotton on that Q-tip right there. And you'll know it. It'll actually stick to it. When you pull it back, it's going to stick to it. And then you'll know that you have to replace that guide. Replacing these guides are really easy. You can buy a little kit from anywhere you get tackle from, and it'll show. You can get the micros or whatever. You just heat these up, slide them out, put a little glue on it, and put the other one back. It's pretty easy. So I do it all the way down, just to make sure I don't have any issues with any of these guides. So it's a good hack to check your guides. Alright guys, I got this rod clean, and I'm going to start on this reel right here. This is the Johnny Morris Carbon Light 2.0 reel. My second favorite reel that I own. My first favorite, of course, is going to be that Abu Garcia Zeta. I will show that here in a minute. That is a sexy reel. This reel, it casts a mile. It's got the two different type of brake system on it. It's nice. I love the grips that are on here. I think a lot of this reel, my only complaint with this reel, this side plate, you see the little gap right here. So to get this side plate off, it's got a little pull pin right here. Every other Abu Garcia that I have, with the exception of the Zeta, there's a screw right. It's just the thumb, but there's a thumb screw that goes right here that holds that plate on. I've caught some big fish with this, and holding it with this little pull thing right here, you can feel this plate flex different from the reel. When the reel's flexing, bringing in a bigger fish, you feel this side plate flexing just a little bit different. It's never came off, but it does feel just a little bit less of quality just because you don't tighten that down. Now on the flip side of that, there's always two sides to a coin. This has the infinity braking system. I'm going to take this side plate off and I'll show you what I mean. Well, that could have went smoother, right? Alright, so the infinity braking system, everybody's familiar with the magnet. It's on the side, 0 to 10. That's the magnets inside here. The infinity braking system is actually on the spool itself. It's got these little tabs. If you've never dealt with these, and this one I've actually got two. There's 6 on here. There's 6 little things that can come out. I've got 2 of them actually active. This reel casts so easy. If I don't have the 2 active, then I'll backlash. So I've got 2, and if you do, you want to do, so I've got one over here, and I've got one over here, and you want to do an opposite of each other. And basically what happens when you make this cast, these little things come out. There's a little plastic, you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, but there's a little plastic thing. The centrifugal force basically makes that little plastic thing come out, and then it rubs on the inside of this, so it slows the spool down, so it makes it less likely to backlash. It's a really good braking system if you're new to bait casters and you want to learn to cast without backlash and engage all of these. It's going to limit how far you can cast, but it's also going to limit how many times you backlash. So anyway, in saying that, I take the side off, I pulled the spool completely out. I've done let off too much line here, messing with that side plate. But I take the spool completely out. Now what I'll do is I'll actually take my general purpose cleaner. I'll clean this. I go inside here, all up on the side. And again, this one's not really bad. When you see the one I take apart here with the braid on it, I'll take one of the white ones apart with the braid on it just so you can see what I'm talking about. They're like really nasty. But I'll take the rag as much as I can get, and then I'll literally just take a Q-tip, get up in the little nooks and crannies, and clean it. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this one up, and then I'll go back to doing the oil and the grease, and I'll show you what I do there. Alright guys, I've got the exterior of the reel clean. You know, just one thing I want to throw out there, you know, everything I'm doing now, cleaning the rod, cleaning the outside of the reel, that's all just cosmetic. But you want your equipment to look, I mean, especially when you have, wow, I mean, I don't care if you got $10 in your rod and reel, you want to make sure that it looks as good as possible. So what I'm doing now is more taking care of the inside. Every one of the ones that I have, there may be some out there that doesn't have this, but this is basically an opening that lets you get to the gears that are inside here that does all the work. Simply take this little screw out right here, and don't lose that screw. I have dropped it on the floor before and like to never found it. And then this thing will just pop out. So if you look down in there, again, I doubt you can better see, but you look down, you can literally see the gears. So that's where this grease comes into effect. Now keep in mind, if you get this, it's real defense, this thing squirts out really aggressively. So all I'm gonna do is put a little dab right here. And then I'm gonna reel it around. Put another little dab. And then there's two gears. There's a smaller one right here. I'll do the same thing. And when you can see that grease going all the way around, you know you've got it greased up really well. I'll just put my little cap back on there. Screw it back in. And then because I have cleaned my reel, I'm going to take any excess grease that might be out here and wipe that off. Alright, you got a worm gear right here. As you go back and forth with, you crank your reel, you'll see this thing go back and forth. I put a little bit, I don't overdo that, but I put a little bit of grease right on that worm gear. And again, you just kind of want to work it back and forth. That's making that sound because those gears come on the line when you take the spool out. Alright, so that's all the grease I'm going to do with this one. Now I'll take my oil. There's a bearing down in here. You just want to put a couple, that's another fast one. Put a couple of drops. These are sealed bearings, but the spool, I mean the shaft on that spool does go down in there. And then again, this thing goes back and forth on this little bar. I just want to make sure that little bar's got just a light little coating of oil on it. So now I'm ready to put my spool back on. There's also a bearing on inside that spool. This is a nice reel. Can't really say anything bad about it. Put my spool back on, make sure it all lines up right. Once it drops back down in there, pull your little tab over. I don't have as much trouble when I'm not trying to show somebody. So make sure everything snaps back. And I've got something. I got some line wrapped around my thing right there. So I'll be back. All right, guys, I'm back. These spools fit in here really snug, and I had a little bit I had the line caught up in it. We wouldn't turn. So that's that's my tutorial on how I clean these. I do want to throw one, so I'm gonna put it back together and I put the rod sock on it, and she's ready to store. One other thing I want to say, and it's not something I've heard anybody else say. It's based just on my experience. So these things have ceramic pads or plates in here that are the drag. I loosen my drag up so that when I put everything back together, I mean, you can see it's that loose. The reason why they're ceramic, so what happens? They're plates just stacked on top of each other. To adjust your drag, as you tighten these down, is pushing these plates together, and that's what causes your drag. If you keep that compressed, and I've had this happen to me on a boat in mid-season. If you keep that compressed, and you get out here and you go to set the hook, your drag may fail. It may actually be loose on you. And I've actually had it where I've tightened this completely down as tight as I can turn it, and my drag would you can still pull a line off of it. All it took was just basically loosening this, kind of banging it around a little bit, and then retightening it, and my drag went back to working. So in my off season, I do not want to keep this drag engaged. I will literally loosen it up to the point where the spool would turn on its own. Again, that's not something I've read anywhere or heard anybody else say. That's my personal preference. I want to make sure those ceramic plates last as long as they possibly can, keep the reel in good shape. So I will loosen that up while it's being stored. But you got to remember, you go out next year, at the next season or next time you go fishing, you want to make sure you tighten that back up before you go to catch fish, because drag all the way loose, you're not going to catch nothing. All right, guys, I'm done with this. I'm going to put it back together, and then I'm going to show you one of the braided ones and how dirty those things get. Alright, guys, as you can see, I've got my next victim here on the table. This is one of the ones that I have the braid set up with the Zeta. Again, this Zeta, I can't say enough about this thing. It is my absolute favorite reel. But you can see by this reel seat right here just how nasty braid gets your equipment. Again, the handle, you'll get this stuff will get on your hands. The gloves that I wear in the wintertime have it on there. Braid is basically a thread, and it's just going through these guides. It's kind of frays off, and this is the byproduct of the string dust. I don't know what you call it that comes off of the braid. So again, just keep in mind, if you do use braid, you're going to have an absolute nightmare the first time you take this thing apart. So I'm going to clean this rod, same thing. I'm just going to use my Fantastic over here, clean the rod real good, then I'll check my eyes again, and then when I go to dissect this thing, it's a little different than some of the rest of them that I have, so I'll show you how I do that. But right now I'm just going to take and clean this up and get her done. Alright, guys, so I've got the rod all cleaned up and ready to go, so I'm going to start on the reel. One thing with these Zetas, it doesn't have the screw, it doesn't have the little snap. They're just designed a little different. This actually has a little thing on the bottom of this. You pull it out like that, and then this just comes off. Now I did, when I first started looking these things up, I had read where that was one of the things that the guys were not liking, just because if you're fishing and you accidentally open that up, this can come off and you can drop it out in the lake. But I've never had that happen, so I don't think that's a problem. And it locks it in really good and steady, just like I told you. When you catch a fish, you don't feel this thing moving separately. But other than that, they're same. You got the magnet brake on this side, and you got the infinity brakes on the inside here. These infinity brakes, there's only 4 of them, where the other one had 6. I keep all these locked down. This is a really good, easy casting rod. So do the same thing, just pull the spool out, and I'll do my cleaning. This one's green, so you can't see all the green on there, but this one's really dirty. That rod, I took bleach to that rod and it didn't clean it up all the way. So I'll get this cleaned up and get it back together, and then I'll give you one more little brief about what I've done up to that point, and we'll end the video. All right, guys, I've got these two done, and they're ready for the long winter, waiting for me to go fishing again. I do want to show you before I go away. So I do have, I do have Abu Garcia Revo SXs, and I have the Abu Garcia Zeta, and then the rest of them, all the ones that you see that are white, are just the Johnny Morris Carbon Light 2.0 combos. I like both setups. I will tell you, this reel retails for $189 by itself. You can catch them on sale. Got mine on Amazon for about $140. But you can get this reel. Then these are, get it up here. These are the Abu Garcia Revo PLX, I believe. I think they're called the PLX rods. These I think are $119, if I'm not mistaken. They were $99 when I was getting these. I think they're up to $109 or $119. So if you put those two together, that's a pretty expensive combo. My favorite combo, but an expensive combo. This combo right here, you can buy this at Bass Pro, the combo for $199 or $209, depending on the length of the rod. And some of the differences, the pros and the cons. The Carbon Light 2.0 is super light. I love the reel. Casts a mile. Really smooth reeling. Love the grips. My only critique of this is the little pull pin makes this side plate feel a little disconnected if you catch anything big. And I mean, you got to have, you know, a big five plus pounder on there to really tell the difference if it's really pulling a lot on these rods. All of my rods are medium heavies. I've got one medium. I can't cast a medium very well, so these are all medium heavies. Another really cool feature with these is they actually have, I don't hit anything over there, they have a little dial here. So whatever power line you have on here, whatever size line, you can actually dial that back and forth. So if you pick up a rod, if you want to throw something a little deeper, you want to go to lightweight, this may say, I think this one actually has 20 if I'm not mistaken. So this has 20 fluorocarbon on it. Makes that big there. Anyway, but you can dial it up. They got the wind grips. I love these grips. Now if you compare this and this, this is the Evo cushion or whatever that's called. I like that grip. I don't have a problem with this grip, but I love this grip. I wish these rods had this grip. I have had an issue with these guides coming out on the Carbon Light rods. I've had them come loose a lot, and you won't know it. You'll be just reeling along, you hear something clanking, you look, easy to put back in, and you just put a little super glue in them and they stay. But I have had that issue with these rods. That's the only critique with this rod that I have, is I have had these guides come loose. I've never had that issue with these Revos, either these or the old Veritas 2.0s. I've never had any of the guides come loose. They're secured in there really well. I mean, these are, I've never had that issue. Again, my only critique of this rod is if you're making a really long cast. I don't even really have really big hands, but if you make a really long cast and you grip this, you're catching that at the bottom. It's feels a little awkward if you're trying to make a really long cast. And this is a 6.6, but they're the same thing on the 7-foot rods. I wish that was just an inch longer. If that was an inch longer, that would be awesome. I do like the comfort of these, the softer grips, but I wish that was a little bit longer. Again, my only critique is I've had some of the line guides come out, and with this, I just wish that was a little bit longer. But they're both super light. If I was going to go buy a combo today, it would definitely be one of these. I have nothing but respect. I love these combos. Never had a reel fail me. Like I said, I carry super glue on my boat, so anytime a line guide comes out, I can fix it. And I say it's happened. It's happened probably on 3 rods, and I've been fishing for, with these, maybe 8 years. So anyway, that's the 2 differences in the rods. I have 9 more bait casters to clean, and these 2 egg beaters to clean, and I haven't even started respooling. So I don't get in no hurry. I got my record player playing. I don't have any music on right now because the copyright laws. But I think I got some Bon Jovi playing right now. So I just sit back here and clean, man, and just enjoy myself. Clean them once I get them all done. I'll get them put back on the boat, and they'll wait the long winter out. Appreciate you guys giving me a look. I'm probably not going to respool any today. I will maybe do a short on how I do the respooling, and I want to show you guys how I do how I reverse the braid on one of them. But that's it for my cleaning. I'll do the exact same thing on all of these. Oh, one last thing. I didn't show you on that my real magic. The final thing I do once I'm done, I put the rod socks on here. Highly recommend the rod socks. It doesn't matter if you're standing them up in the corner or you're putting them in your rod box in your boat. These rod socks or gloves or whatever you want to call them, really inexpensive. You can get different lengths at Walmart. Worth the price. Anytime you ever had, if you ever laid 2 rods down together and picked them up and they were tangled up, this will solve your problem. But once that's done, I'll just take my Real Magic and I'll just give it a generous coating. Just want to make sure I get everything top and bottom of that reel. And that's it. I'm done. Ready for storage. And when I start back up in the spring, before I cast any of these, I'll hit it with this Real Magic again. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, go back and check out some of my old videos, especially go back to May. When I was on Lake Branton, I think it was May, and I was up in the lily pads, and man, I had a ball. When you have a day where you're catching 2-pound crappies and you're pulling them out of lily pads, you're catching bass, you're catching anything out of lily pads, and when you're done, the butt of this rod's dug into your ribs, you go home with sore ribs. That's an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe, and I will be back with another video before you know it. Thanks a lot. God bless.